Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Rutgers Spa PhD program information session. My name is Yahong Zhang. I'm the director of the PhD program in public administration at Rutgers School of Public Affairs and Administration. My colleague, Dr. Aaron Gibbs, is here with me, and he is the Associate Dean of Student and Academic Services. We will present the program and also we will answer the questions you may have at the end of the session. So before we begin, I do want to mention that this session will be recorded, is recorded. So if you have to leave earlier or if you are interested in a copy of the recording, please feel free to reach out to me or Dr. Gibbs. My email is on the screen that you can find. Okay. So let me get started. So the topics I like to cover for today's session are why PhD in public administration should be considered. The second is why our PhD program in public administration at Rutgers Spa should be considered for your PhD studies. And the third, the program requirement. Then I would like to provide information about funding opportunities that will support your PhD studies. Lastly, we will explain the application process. I'm sure we will have about 30 minutes at the end for questions and answers. So you may type in your questions anytime in the chat box. Type in your questions in the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions. We will try to answer as many of the questions as we possibly can, and hopefully that will be all of the questions that you might have, okay? So first, why PhD in public administration? PhD is a significant intellectual and personal challenge. Of course, it takes 4 to 5 years to complete. And a good PhD program can provide opportunities for personal growth and self-discovery. In the journey of PhD studies, you can discover your potential to make a positive influence in the society through your research and related work. With a PhD in public administration per se, we have a more significant impact on public and nonprofit agencies, especially through your research. So potentially, this can lead to positive changes in society. And public administration programs often take a interdisciplinary approach, which allows you to explore a variety of fields such as political science, public policy, sociology, economics, management, and psychology. This sort of broad perspectives can be extremely beneficial for addressing the complicated societal and public problems that exist in the world. Okay, so why PhD program at Rutgers Spa should be considered for your PhD studies? I'm gonna provide a number of reasons why our PhD program is a right place to apply for. Well, First, I can start off by noting, and many of you may have already noticed in your research of different PhD programs that Rutgers Spa as a school is consistently ranked high in major areas by US News and World Report. For instance, we are ranked number 7 in urban policy, number 8 in public management and leadership, and number 10 in nonprofit management. And we are ranked 26 overall out of all public affairs programs, which there are actually over 250 NASPA accredited programs around the world. So we are a really highly ranked program. Okay, so another ranking people in academia frequently use today is the global ranking of academic subjects compiled by the Shanghai Ranking Consultancy. They recognize institutions that consistently produce a high volume of influential, high-quality research. And by their ranking in the 2023, their most current ranking, out of 200 public administration schools worldwide, Rutgers Spa ranks number 3 in the United States and number 7 globally in public administration. So it's extremely high ranking we have. And you may ask who contribute to the high rankings. Probably we can see one of the group is our faculty members, who should take the credit, right? And the SPA features world-class faculty experts in a wide array of public affairs subjects. These faculty members are often recognized with national and international awards for their contributions in research. If you have attended major conferences in public administration or political science, you have probably seen our faculty members being honored with awards. So our faculty does not only do well in research, they also do really well in teaching and mentoring students. SPA faculty is committed to student success, working closely with students, especially PhD students, and guiding them throughout their PhD journey. PhD students in our program have great opportunities to engage in research and co-publish with faculty members. We are also proud of the diverse and supportive community. Within the school, both faculty and staff are committed to supporting students. We have a lot of events on a weekly basis, including the research colloquiums and cultural events that help build a strong sense of community and foster a collaborative environment. We also have a PhD student club, which get involved in the organization of the research colloquiums. It also organizes informal gatherings, networking opportunities, and just general peer support to one another. So as a result, our PhD students and graduates have been highly successful. So far, the PhD program in SPA has produced more than 150 graduates, with the majority obtaining faculty positions at universities worldwide. So here on the screen, I just showcase some of the places where our students have gotten jobs after finishing their PhDs. So we have been very successful in placing PhD students in good positions post-graduation. And to further showcase our students' achievements, here are some of the research awards our students and graduates have received recently, actually just in this year and last year. Therefore, we have, I can say that we have excellent faculty, dedicated mentorship, diverse and collaborative community, and strong records of students' success. So I think they are all strong reasons why students should consider our PhD program for your PhD studies, right? And so here, I see some more people have joined us. Welcome to the information session of the PhD program at Rutgers School of Public Affairs and Administration. And now I would like to talk about the program requirements after we explain why Rutgers SPA, the PhD program, is the right place for you to apply. Okay, so first of all, the PhD program at Rutgers SPA provides research degree. We emphasize that we provide research degree, and what we mean is that we train students for careers as scholars and researchers. Upon graduation, students should be able to conduct and produce original research and innovative research. And you should have the skills to begin a research or academic career after your PhD. So the degree requirement to help you achieve an academic career or research career, we have a number of degree requirements in the PhD program, including courses, comprehensive exams, and dissertation project. Okay, first, we require that students complete 5 core courses that provide theoretical foundations in public administration. The 5 courses include intellectual history of public administration, study of public organizations, governance and politics, leadership and diversity, and public budgeting and finance. There are also 4 research methods courses that you are required to take. There are quantitative methods 1 and quantitative methods 2, and also qualitative methods 1. The fourth required research methods course is elective, where students can be free to choose from other units of Rutgers. It could be either advanced qualitative methods or quantitative methods, or a mixed method courses. So we have 7 specialization or elective courses, which 3 of those courses are able to be transferred in from your master's degree, and with the approval of the PhD program director. You also need to complete 2 comprehensive exams. Upon completion of your 5 core courses, you will take your first comprehensive exam, we call COM1, which covers the content in your core courses. The second comprehensive exam is taken upon your completion of all coursework. It takes the form of a manuscript. And once you have completed all coursework and COM1, COM2, you are ready to work on your dissertation. You will have a dissertation advisor then. You will work with your advisor to develop the dissertation proposal and defend it. Once you successfully defend your dissertation proposal, you will become a ABD, or but dissertation. So here are, on the screen is a small visual for what your PhD program looks like. If you are a full-time student, in your year 1, you will complete all 5 core courses. You will also complete 2 of your master's courses. In the summer, normally in June, when you complete the 5 core courses, you will take COM1. And in your year 2, you will complete the remaining 2 research methods courses and all your specialization courses. Then you can work on a manuscript for COM2 that you can submit in the summer of year 2. And your dissertation begins in year 3, and you are expected to complete the dissertation in year 4 or sometimes in year 5, sorry. And so now let's move to a topic that I'm sure you are all interested in, which is funding, okay? How do you fund this degree? Well, at Rutgers Spa, we do offer a limited number of teaching and research assistantships to PhD students. The first category of funding is graduate assistantship and teaching assistantship. We may simply call them RAs and TAs. The whole package is really generous. You can see here, the stipend will be over $36,000 a year in the academic year of 2025 to 26. In academic year 2026 to 27, the stipend will increase to $40,000 a year. You also receive full faculty staff health insurance, and your tuition will be fully paid by the school. And with this package, students will work 15 hours a week. And I mentioned that we have limited number of RAs and TA slots available each year. but we may have other funding opportunities available. We have been able to offer many unfunded students hourly work when available through our centers and external grants that SPA faculty receive. PhD students can apply for Dean's Dissertation Fellowship provided by graduate school in their year 3. Our students have been very successful in winning the fellowship. Students are encouraged to apply for external funding, such as Fulbright scholarships, government scholarships, and research grants. And of course, there are loans available for domestic students. And we do not wish that funding becomes barrier for students. So we welcome self-funded students and part-time students to apply to our PhD program. Okay, so finally, we may talk about the question of how to apply. Dr. Gibbs can talk on this.
Okay, everyone. So here's how you can apply for the PhD program. So the first thing that we want to stress that you're going to fill out an online application, and we'll kind of walk through that process. So you want to get that done. In your online application, or really your application package, let's call it that, you need to submit any and all official transcripts that you attended for your bachelor's and master's degree. You can use an unofficial copy, but you will need to provide the official copy as you go through the application process. You need 3 letters of recommendation. You also need to include a personal statement and a writing sample. And then finally, you do need the GRE scores. Now, we want to stress that the GRE scores are a requirement. There is no waiver for the GRE scores, so you will need to submit that. If you earned your bachelor's degree or your master's degree from an international university, we will need you to take the English proficiency exam, whether you do the TOEFL, the IELTS, or Duolingo. And you also have a $70 non-refundable application fee that you will pay through the online platform on your application. If you are completing the international or the English proficiency exams, here are the scores that you need to stay around. So if you're taking the TOEFL, the IBT internet-based TOEFL requires you to have a 22 in the writing, 23 in speaking, 21 in reading, and 17 in listening. For the IELTS score, you need a 7 or higher. You may wonder if, let's say your scores are in range, but you didn't hit the mark. Let's say for IELTS, maybe if you have a 6.5, or for the TOEFL, let's say maybe you're off in particular areas. We need you to take note of the minimums because that's where your scores need to be. All right. Now, your proficiency test can be waived if you've earned a bachelor's degree or a master's degree from an English-speaking country or university. And so if you do have any questions about that, you can reach out to us and we can verify with admissions if your degrees from your institution is eligible. Okay, so the application is available online. When you go to the website for the application, you will create a community ID and password. You're going to use this community ID and password to check the status of your application. You'll fill out your biographical data, your residency information. You'll also provide information on each institution that you have obtained a degree from. One thing I do want to stress, on your transcript, if let's say when you were in your undergraduate program, you transferred from school A and you graduated from school B, you have to get both transcripts and you need to supply that. So we don't want you to have your application held up if you don't do that. All right. On the application, again, you have to do 3 letters of recommendation. You're going to list an email address for each of your recommenders. They will receive a notice where they'll be able to fill out the recommendation for you. They can also attach a letter with that recommendation as well. You will submit your personal statement. You can type it in through the application, or you could do an attachment. Let's say if you type it separately through Word or PDF and you submit it. And then from there, you're going to submit the application. You'll also pay the application fee within the platform. Keep in mind, you still have to submit your writing sample. So that's something that you're going to upload on your own. For most universities, the transcripts are sent electronic. So just make sure that you speak with your universities and institutions to have them send it to Rutgers University. Most importantly, deadline for the application is January 10th. You can apply now and start submitting your documents so that you meet that January 10th deadline. I have to advise you that if your application is submitted January 11th, there's a strong possibility it will not be reviewed. So please make sure that you get everything in on time. And by on time, I mean early. All right. There's a good question in the chat that talking about the application. Even if you have completed a master's degree, the GRE scores are still required. All right. So again, the GRE scores are basically a non-negotiable. You will need to have those submitted. You can go to the next slide.
So I guess we have completed the presentation. So probably we just open the floor for questions. How about we check let me stop sharing, okay? So Erin, do you have anything to add or clarify? Since I'm not very sure if my presentation is clear enough.
Sure. So nothing I have to add at this point, but there are a couple questions that are in the chat that I can kind of walk through and share. There was a question about the TOEFL, and they said I would like to inquire clarifications. Okay, so Dr. Zhang, quick question for you. So let's say if a student submits their application and they're an international student and the TOEFL scores don't meet the minimum requirements, how does the PhD committee handle reviewing those applications?
Yeah, well, you still can submit your TOEFL scores. The minimum scores are set up by Rutgers University, and we actually conduct a holistic review of all applications. So TOEFL score, GRE scores are part of the consideration. So if you think you are very strong in research ability, and you can show some evidence by, for example, by writing sample, okay, by personal statement, you still can submit. We will consider. And also, I would suggest that in your personal statement, you highlight that, give an explanation why your score, TOEFL score or GRE scores are low, so that can draw our attention to other sides of your application.
Great question. There is another question in the chat. Does the program offer a master's degree if, let's say, a student who's been admitted to the PhD program does not finish the PhD program?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, our website, we didn't emphasize in our presentation that, we require a master degree, before students can enroll in the PhD program. So a master degree is required before you start the PhD program. In that sense, we do not provide a master's degree if students can't finish their PhD program. There's nothing like that. Actually in our PhD program, I would think 80–90% of PhD students successfully complete their PhD. Okay.
Okay. There's another question in the chat, and Candace, I see your question. Let's talk offline. All right. Because the question, Dr. Zhang, and I'll direct you with Dr. Zhang. The question was for those who may have stopped out from the PhD program and look to return. So that's actually a really good question. So what happens if a student gets admitted to the PhD program, they start, and then life happens and they have to stop out? What's the process for them to return? And generally speaking, what is the time frame that is allowed for a student to use to complete the PhD program?
A good question. We do have this, to happen in the past. Students, for all kinds of reasons, may not be continue the PhD studies, so they may stop at some point, and they can reapply to the PhD program when they are ready to continue the PhD studies. When they reapply, they need to write the letter, still personal statement to explain their study plans, so we can be convinced, students can complete the program in certain years. We do not have the time span, for like how long within, how many years we accept reapplication, admission. We don't have that as long as students feel they are ready to reapply. We just, we receive your reapplication, we consider, we will review, and possibly, if it's reasonable, we just readmit students in the program. So it's quite generous, I would say.
All right, great. Are there any other questions we can answer so far?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was a question in the chat. So the admission is for the program is a fall start, but what happens if, let's say, you have a student that may need to start in the spring? Is that allowable? And when should they inform the PhD committee of that potential start time?
Good question. We actually admit students for fall semester only. That means the application window is open one time a year from October to January 10th. That's the application window. And for this cohort of applications, we admit students, who will start the PhD program in fall. For this year, they will start in fall 2025. So we do not admit students for spring semester. And of course, students can have different situations. For example, we did have students who couldn't receive their visa to the US. So they have to apply, they have to request deferring their enrollment to the next semester, to the spring semester. We allow that to happen. If that's something students can't control. So in some, I would say, special situations, we allow students to defer their enrollment to spring semester, but we do not admit students for spring semester. Okay.
Great question. Another question for you. How many applicants do we typically enroll within a cohort?
Applications vary, year by year, like, in a regular base, I would think from 50 to 100 applications each year. And, we admit about 4, 5, 6 students in a cohort each year. And among the probably 4, 5, 6, even 7 students we admit each year, 3 or 4 students are funded. That means they will receive TA-ship or RA-ship. and other students are self-funded, or they bring in funding, such as Fulbright or government fellowship, government scholarship, or some other external fundings.
Great question.
Mhm.
Are there other questions we can answer for you?
Yeah, and you may also, because it's not a webinar, it's a Zoom meeting. I think everyone can raise your hand, and you can unmute yourself and ask the question directly. Okay, since I saw the question, what's the review turn around the time after the January 10th deadline to find out if you have been accepted? That's a really good question. We do have kind of timelines for the steps. After January 10th, we will start the review process quickly. And, and in the process, we will conduct Zoom interview, first round Zoom interview with students, with the candidates. And after that, the PhD committee, PhD committee work together, in reviewing and making decisions. So after interview of candidates in the shortlist, we may make admission decisions and funding decisions. So I would think by early March, you should receive something, you should hear something from us. We will communicate with candidates by email.
Great
Okay.
question.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. All right, fantastic. Okay, question on the floor. The recommendation letters. How do you recommend, or who do you recommend applicants to reach out to? Should the letters be all academic sources? Can they be academic and professional? What do you recommend that they do?
Okay, that's a really great question. Yeah, I guess because our applicants, they received the bachelor degree and master degrees already. So they normally ask their former professors to write recommendation letters for them. That's the common practice. In some situation, for example, students have been working for a while in some organization, and your colleague, your supervisor may say something about your research ability, about your time management. Okay, so the recommendation letters can come from someone else rather than professors as well. I would think among the 3 recommendation letters, at least one, should be from academia. That means someone doing research, doing teaching, and that they can speak about your research interests and your research skills.
Okay, good question.
Mm-hmm.
Other question, are there application fee waivers available? The answer to that is yes. You can request a fee waiver. Here's what you need to do. Your application needs to be complete, meaning you submitted the application, your 3 letters of recommendation, personal statement, writing sample, transcript, proficiency scores, if need be. All of that has to be completed and submitted. Once that's been submitted, you can reach out to me and I will contact the graduate school about the fee waiver. Okay, so essentially the fee waiver will be the last piece added to your application to complete it. But all of your pieces have to be submitted. If your pieces are not submitted, we will not issue the waiver.
Yeah, by university policy, we're not able to give waiver until you complete all the documents for application. Okay. Any other questions you may have? Is there any? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let me clarify. I
Mhm.
saw the question. I would like to inquire if applications are automatically screened out if the TOEFL speaking score does not meet the minimum requirement of 23. The answer is no. Your application will not be screened out. Okay, we still, if your application is complete, that means you submit all the required documents, we still have a chance to review your application. Yeah, I think, some students always ask whether GRE score can be waived. That's a really common question we have. We do not waive GRE scores. And, however, we do not take GRE as the sole consideration for admission. So again, we will conduct a holistic review of applications. If you think you are interested in research and your research ability is strong, or you can develop your research skills through our PhD program, you still should apply. Okay. So any other questions you may have? I see any, I didn't see any raising hands. Okay. It comes another question. What's the total cost of the program? Total cost of the program. Okay. You are asking about the tuition. That's a good question. Dr. Gibbs, do you have?
Yeah, so I will put in the chat what the graduate tuition is. Obviously, each year it does go up, but if you are looking to self-fund, I'll make sure that link is in the chat.
Mhm. If I remember correctly, it seems 14,000 credit. Is that close?
Let me see. Hold on. Graduate tuition.
I said out of state tuition. Of course, in-state tuition would be
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to
cheaper.
be a difference there. Okay, so for the graduate school,
Mhm.
okay, so tuition in state is what is the per credit? Hold on. Okay, so in state per credit, $8.59 per credit. Out of state, it is $14.61 per credit is what you would actually pay. If you are taking 10, I'm sorry, if you're doing 12 credits or more in a particular semester, you're paying $10,000 per semester. If you're out of state and you're taking 12 credits or more, you're paying at least $17,000 for tuition. So with the program, and especially with funding, depending on if you're going to self-fund, it all depends on how you plan to do it. If you're taking the maximum amount of credits, you can probably pay, I think, Dr. You said what, at least 40,000?
Yeah, probably. Remember that, the program we require 60 credits in total, right?
Mm-hmm.
And among the 60 credits, students can transfer, how many? 9.
Right.
Transfer 9, right? From your master's program. That means if you can transfer credits, you will pay for 51 credits, right? So you just use $14,000 multiply 51 credits. What's the total?
So I did the
Like
math really quickly.
6, yeah.
So for
Uh-huh.
for an in-state student, you're probably looking about 50,000, including
Uh-huh.
tuition and fees. If you are out of
Uh-huh.
state, you're looking at about 80,000. And
Mm-hmm.
that's tuition. That's not including housing or anything like that. So, and
Right.
also just a heads up, the program is not online. It's all on campus in person. So you
Mm-hmm.
also want to factor that in. Okay. There's another question in the chat that asked about if you have a master's degree and you're applying, do you need to submit the GRE score? Yes, you need to submit your GREs and 3 letters of recommendation. Those are mandatory for your application. Failure to submit those would deem your application incomplete. And I'm not sure if they will review your application if it's incomplete.
Okay, so here the question is about the master program. That means students applying for MPA program,
Oh, I'm
correct?
sorry. I
Right, do
misread that.
master's
I completely
application.
misread that.
Applicants
Sure. So
also
let
need
me
to
let me
submit.
answer that. So if
Right.
you're looking to apply for the master's program, no, you do not need your GRE scores, and you only need 2 letters of recommendation. Halim, what I would ask of you to do, send me an email. We can schedule a one-on-one, and I can walk you through the
Mm-hmm.
uh, the MPA program. So yes, please
Mm-hmm.
reach out. And again, my apologies for misreading your question.
No problem. Yeah, that means we do not require GRE for application to the
Right.
master program in our in SPA. Okay. Any other questions you may have? All questions are really good questions. I'm glad, you have the opportunity to ask. I think if no other, just let me know. I wait for 1 more minute for
Yep.
questions before we end the information session. Feel free to ask any questions. And I'm sure you may have questions coming out sometime later. And just feel free to drop an email to us. Okay, and you can find our email address on the website, the school website. And also I can type in my email. Let me type in my email here so you can reach out to me anytime, okay? So my email is yahong.zhang@rutgers.edu. Another
So,
question.
yeah. So, question
Okay.
on the floor: will there be any in-person events for the PhD applicants to attend before January 10th?
We don't have a kind of formal session on campus or in person, but you are really welcome to make an appointment with me or with Dr. Gibbs if it's about questions of application process. So we are very happy to meet with you in person, and we can schedule time, okay? That's not a problem at all.
Mhm. All right, perfect.
Okay. So I guess again, thank you so much for joining the information session of the PhD program at Rutgers School of Public Affairs and Administration. We really appreciate your interest in our PhD program, and you are very welcome to apply. And remember, you should feel free to reach out to us when you have any question, okay? So I guess we can stop here, right?